Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Minkah Fitzpatrick probably walked into the Dolphins facility this week thinking it would be business as usual, maybe a quick review of the overtime win against the Washington Commanders, some film study, some treatment, and then back to preparing for the next opponent. But instead of celebrating a gritty 16-13 victory that kept Miami's momentum alive, he found himself smack in the middle of an unexpected storm, and let me tell you, Dolphins fans didn't see this twist coming either. The NFL dropped its list of fines from Week 11. And Minkah wasn't hit with just one penalty, but two, doubling the frustration and turning what should have been a victorious Monday into a pretty expensive one. It's the kind of situation that makes players shake their heads and fans immediately look up the rule book to figure out how the league came to those numbers. The league came down with a total of $29,561 in fines for Fitzpatrick alone, $17,389 for a hip drop tackle, and $12,172 for a low block. And if you watched the game, you know exactly how tense some of those moments were. The low block, which drew a flag on the field, happened early in the first quarter during a Washington drive that would eventually stall into a field goal. It was one of those plays that happens in an instant. A bang-bang moment where a defender tries to angle his way into disrupting the blocking path. And before you know it, the ref's hand is reaching into his pocket. But the hip drop tackle, that one didn't draw a flag. And that's where things get even more interesting. It came late in a 17-yard run by Chris Rodriguez. A play that pushed Washington deep into Miami territory before their kicker Matt Gay pushed a long field goal attempt wide. No flag on the field meant many assumed the play was clean, or at least clean enough. But the league saw it differently. That $17,389 hip drop fine ended up tied for the third highest fine issued in the entire week across the NFL. And when you look at the league's continuing crackdown on hip drop tackles, it's clear they're trying to send a message. Fitzpatrick, knowingly or not, just became another example the league can point to. And of course, all these fines can be appealed, which raises the question, will Minkah take that route? Most players do. It doesn't always erase the fine, but sometimes it leads to reductions. And right now, any little bit would help when you're staring at nearly $30, zero evaporating from your paycheck because of the split-second decisions in a high-speed NFL game. Another interesting detail in all this is the fact that Minkah became the first Dolphins player to be fined since Week 3. Miami had actually gone on a pretty clean stretch from that point until this game, back in Week 3. Center Aaron Brewer got flagged and fined for a blindside block, while running back Ollie Gordon got hit for use of the helmet during that tough Thursday night loss to the Buffalo Bills. But in the weeks that followed, Miami managed to keep its name off the NFL's weekly fine report until now. And that streak is over because one player got dinged twice in the same afternoon. Before Fitzpatrick, the only other Dolphins fine this season went to wide receiver Malik Washington, who, like Gordon, was disciplined for use of the helmet during the week to loss to the Patriots. With these two plays on Sunday, Fitzpatrick now joins a unique and very unwanted club. He's one of only 7 players across the entire NFL to receive the fines from the same game this season. That's not exactly a list anyone is excited to be part of. It's the kind of mark that follows you around for a while, especially when the league is hunting down certain techniques and reviewing every angle of physical plays. Coaches always preach fundamentals, but sometimes instinct takes over, especially in situations where it feels like a tackle is the difference between giving up a first down or flipping momentum. And yet the league's stance is simple: instinct or not, rules are rules. Now, step back and look at the Dolphins as a whole. With Fitzpatrick's pair of fines, Miami has now been hit with 5 fines this season. Their opponents, meanwhile, have only been fined 4 times, one for the Jets back in Week 4, one for the Chargers in Week 6, one for the Falcons in Week 8, and one for the Ravens in Week 9. It's not a huge discrepancy, but it does paint a picture of a team playing aggressively, walking the edge, and sometimes getting caught on the wrong side of the office in New York. Fans might argue it shows Miami plays with intensity. Opposing fans might argue it shows recklessness. The truth, as usual, lives somewhere in the middle. But while the Minkah news stole headlines, the Dolphins also found themselves connected to another storyline this week, one that doesn't involve fines, but instead involves a familiar face getting another shot in the NFL. Linebacker Channing Tindall, Miami's top pick from the 2022 NFL Draft, is about to make his season debut with the Arizona Cardinals. It's a bit surreal for Dolphins fans, who remember the excitement when Miami selected him in the third round out of Georgia. The speed, the raw talent, the upside, they all pointed toward a player who could carve out a meaningful role. But as the years went on, things didn't unfold as many expected. Tindall played in 44 games over his 3 seasons with Miami, but barely saw the field on defense, logging only 21 defensive snaps in total. Most of his contributions came on special teams, sprinting downfield on kick coverage and filling in the unsung roles that don't earn headlines but still matter. Then came the roster cut down this year, and Tindall found himself on the outside looking in as the Dolphins trimmed down to the 53-man limit. Just a couple of weeks later, the Cardinals scooped him up and added him to their practice squad on September 10th, giving him a fresh opportunity and a new environment. Now, with Arizona preparing for its Week 12 matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Cardinals elevated Tindall to the game day roster. It's a big moment for a player whose NFL arc has been anything but straightforward: a fresh playbook, a fresh coaching staff, and perhaps a fresh chance to prove he belongs on a 53-man roster. Miami fans won't root against him either. Tindall always carried himself well, put in the work, and did everything the team asked, even if the on-field opportunities never matched the early expectations that followed him out of Georgia. And Tindall isn't the only ex-Dolphin linked to this Arizona elevation. Tight end Pharaoh Brown, who went through training camp with Miami earlier this year after arriving from Seattle, was also elevated for this game. Brown has bounced around the league for years and fits that mold of a veteran tight end who can block, catch when necessary, and move the chains when you least expect it. He suited up last week for Arizona's 41-20 loss against the 49ers, but didn't record a catch in his 11 snaps. Still, the fact that the Cardinals elevated him again suggests they like his physicality and experience, especially as injuries and rotation needs pile up late in the season. So in a strange way, this week became a snapshot of where the Miami Dolphins are right now: one part discipline and rulebook scrutiny, another part nostalgia and what could have been for former draft picks trying to revive their journeys elsewhere. Minkah Fitzpatrick's finds tell the story of a defense playing aggressively, sometimes too aggressively for the league's taste. Channing Tindall's quiet rise from practice squad to active roster tells the story of a young player still searching for his place in the NFL. And for Miami fans, all of it ties back into the broader narrative of a team trying to balance intensity with discipline, execution with emotion, and big dreams with the harsh realities of a long, grinding season. The Dolphins are still right in the thick of things, still pushing, still finding ways to win, still chasing playoff positioning. But weeks like this remind everyone, players, coaches, and fans, that every game leaves fingerprints that last far beyond the final whistle. Whether it's the league office sending a fine notice, or a former draft pick getting one more chance in a new jersey, the NFL never stops moving, never stops surprising, and never stops creating stories that go far deeper than the box score. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments, what's your take on the Fins this week? There's a storm quietly brewing in the NFL, one that's sending ripples across Miami and beyond. And all eyes are turning toward Tua Tagovailoa. Whispers are growing louder. Insiders are hinting at it. And the chatter from agents, analysts, and even front offices suggests that the Dolphins might be on the verge of a seismic shift. Tua, the quarterback who came in with promise, flashing moments of brilliance, but also struggling with consistency and the ever-present specter of injuries, could be leaving Miami after the 2025 season. It's the kind of news that sends fans into a frenzy, a rumor that has the potential to reshape the landscape of the AFC and perhaps the entire NFL. For months, the air has been thick with speculation about contract extensions, front office confidence, and whether Tua's trajectory aligns with the Dolphins' ambitions of a Super Bowl caliber team. Now, the narrative seems to be shifting toward a more dramatic, almost cinematic twist. Miami may be ready to part ways with its star quarterback, opening the door for a new chapter in both Tua's career and the Dolphins' storied history. Sources close to the organization suggest that there are multiple layers to this potential move, and it's not as simple as on-field performance alone. Miami's front office is notorious for its analytical approach, weighing metrics and advanced statistics alongside intangibles like leadership, Locker room influence and adaptability. Tua has had moments of brilliance, no doubt, with throws that defy logic and a pocket presence that, at times, seems to transcend his experience. But injuries have always been a shadow over his career, and the Dolphins are operating in a league that rewards availability just as much as talent. There are whispers that the coaching staff and management are increasingly concerned about durability, particularly after several games where Tua struggled to finish or had to be protected by conservative game plans. Combine that with the fact that the team is aggressively scouting the quarterback market, and suddenly, the rumor that Tua might not be in Miami past 2025 doesn't sound so far-fetched. The timing of this potential departure is part of what makes the rumor so explosive. Tua is entering the prime years of his career, an age where quarterbacks either cement themselves as franchise cornerstones or find themselves navigating uncertain waters. The Dolphins, meanwhile, are in a precarious position. They have invested heavily in talent round 2 receivers, offensive line upgrades, and strategic draft picks designed to maximize his potential, and yet, there's a growing sense among some front office circles that the window for a championship is narrowing. The idea floating around is that Miami may be willing to cut ties, not out of dissatisfaction with Tua's talent, but out of a strategic gamble, hoping that a different quarterback, perhaps a veteran with a proven playoff track record or a young, untested phenom, could elevate the team beyond its current ceiling. Fans have always debated whether the Dolphins' investment in Tua was the right one, and now, the speculation alone is enough to dominate sports media conversations and social feeds. Rumors of trade possibilities, draft maneuvers, and salary cap gymnastics swirl like a hurricane, and the narrative almost writes itself. Tua, the young, talented QB, could be Miami's next high-profile departure. There's also a human element to this story that makes it irresistible to the rumor mill. Tua is known for his composure, his quiet leadership, and a mentality that belies his age. Yet, insiders suggest that the quarterback has been increasingly frustrated with the lack of consistency around him, from coaching strategies to roster construction. Some say Tua has expressed privately that he wants to play in a system that fully maximizes his strengths, one that balances his mobility, deep ball accuracy, and quick decision-making. The whispers indicate that he's not just waiting passively. Agents, advisors, and confidants are exploring opportunities, testing waters, and quietly gauging interest from teams that might see Tua as the missing piece to their championship puzzle. It's the kind of rumor that fuels debates. Is Tua asking for more than Miami is willing to offer, or is it a strategic move by the Dolphins, creating leverage in negotiations or preparing for a possible quarterback overhaul? Either way, the rumor itself is enough to keep analysts up at night, fans on edge, and social media buzzing with endless speculation. Meanwhile, the ripple effects of such a departure are impossible to ignore. Miami's offensive strategy, already finely tuned around Tua's skill set, would need a complete reevaluation. Receivers accustomed to his timing, offensive linemen drilled on his protection schemes, and even the coaching staff's play-calling philosophy, all of it could be upended. The domino effect reaches further, too, potentially influencing draft picks, free agent signings, and the overall identity of the team. For other teams, the possibility of acquiring Tua is like a siren call. A quarterback with playoff experience, a track record of clutch performances, and a youthful ceiling would instantly become a hot commodity, sparking rumors of trades, blockbuster deals, and perhaps even multi-team negotiations that could dominate headlines for months. The NFL is no stranger to high-profile quarterback moves, and Tua's potential exit fits perfectly into the drama-filled narrative that keeps fans glued to screens and insiders talking behind closed doors. The speculation also opens the door for comparisons and hypotheticals that ignite the sports media landscape. Analysts are already weighing how Tua would fit into systems led by different defensive coordinators, whether he'd thrive in a high-octane passing offense or a balanced scheme emphasizing mobility and timing. Fans have taken to forums and social media, creating hypothetical trade scenarios, mock drafts, and discussions about potential replacements in Miami. The rumor is so potent that it's affecting narratives even before any official decisions are made, shaping the way commentators, writers, and YouTubers dissect every snap Tua plays, every throw, every sideline interaction, and even the subtleties of his leadership are being scrutinized through the lens of the possible last season in Miami. The story practically writes itself, a perfect mix of talent, drama, and uncertainty that sports media thrives on. Amid all this, the human drama cannot be understated. Tua's journey from college sensation to NFL starter has been marked by perseverance, resilience, and a quiet determination to prove doubters wrong. The rumor of his potential departure adds a layer of poignancy to his narrative, transforming every on-field performance into a possible farewell tour. Commentators speculate on how he might handle the pressure of knowing that his future could lie elsewhere, and whether that knowledge will elevate his game or add a layer of distraction. Fans are emotionally invested, torn between hope for the team's future and loyalty to a player who has been a symbol of promise and perseverance. In this sense, the rumor transcends mere speculation. It becomes a story about ambition, strategy, and the unpredictable nature of professional sports, where talent, timing, and circumstance collide in ways that are often as dramatic as any scripted drama. At the heart of this swirling speculation is the undeniable fact that Tua's name has become synonymous with high-stakes drama. His potential exit from Miami represents not just a personnel change but a narrative shift, one that will define both the Dolphins' trajectory and Tua's career path. Every rumor, every insider tip, and every speculative analysis contributes to a sense of anticipation that few stories in sports can match. The Dolphins' locker room, the front office, and fans alike are all caught in the gravitational pull of this unfolding drama, waiting for official confirmation, yet knowing that by the time it arrives, the conversation may have already shifted to new hypotheticals, new trades, and new questions about the future. The rumor is more than a whisper. It's an evolving story that feels larger than the game itself, a testament to how one player's journey can capture the imagination of an entire league. In the end, the story of Tua Tagovailoa potentially leaving the Dolphins after 2025 is a perfect storm of speculation, human drama, and strategic calculation. It's the kind of narrative that fuels YouTube videos, social media debates, and endless sports talk radio hours. It's a reminder that in the NFL, nothing is ever guaranteed, and the trajectory of even the most promising careers can change in an instant. Whether Tua's departure becomes a reality or remains a tantalizing rumor, the conversation itself has already reshaped perceptions, influenced decisions, and captured the collective imagination of fans, analysts, and insiders alike. In this swirling vortex of speculation, the only certainty is uncertainty. And the only thing more exciting than the rumor itself is the anticipation of what happens next. The Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, and the NFL as a whole are at the center of a story that will continue to unfold, one rumor, one report, and one spectacular throw at a time. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!